is up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Big Nerd Pub Quiz. Tonight, this bank holiday Monday, 5th of April 2021. Hope you're all well. Hope you've all rested. You see there, I've got two friends with me. I should get them in the frame. Why the heck not? How's it all going? You can see my messy bedroom behind me. Hope you're all well. Hope you had a great Easter weekend. I know I have. I was up in the mountains there during the day with a buddy of mine. Very, very cold, actually. It actually started to snow on us at one point. You know, we're getting glorious sunshine on Saturday and Sunday, and then suddenly the temperature plummets. But yes, tonight, Big Nerd Pub Quiz is here to cap off your weekend, to test your knowledge. As always, 8 rounds, tricky trivia, quiz questions coming your way. And like I said, I've got some big news coming up about a new project that I'm working on. Like I was telling everyone there during the, last week, teasing upon it as well. But yeah, I'll let you in a little bit more of it. Anyway, you're welcome to Big Nerd Pub Quiz. If this is your first time, you're very welcome. If you haven't played before, this is how you play the Big Nerd Pub Quiz. Very simple. All you have to do is scan that QR code on the screen there with your phone. That'll give you access to the Google Form answer sheet, or you can check out the link in the YouTube description below. Once the Google Doc answer sheet is open, you'll see an option to enter your team name. Pop that in there. Email address is also required to submit the form as well. 8 rounds tonight, 6 questions each. There's only one correct answer per question, and no trick questions. I don't do those. Answer questions as I ask them. You have an option of 4 answers per question in the multiple choice. Once the quiz is over, all you have to do is hit submit. You'll get your scores at the end, but stick about. For the answers, I'll be posting the final standings and seeing whether you have made the top 5 in the final standings of tonight's quiz. And all I can say is best of luck as always. If you want to get in touch with Big Nerd Pub Quiz, there's all the social media links, everything from Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Just look up Big Nerd Pub Quiz. Don't forget, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel there. Smash that button for any updates on the quiz, and you can share the Big Nerd Pub Quiz with all your buddies. Big Nerd Pub Quiz is completely free to play. However, you can support the work that goes into making it by donating as little as £1 to the PayPal, or you can become a Patreon. Links are up there on the screen. Massive thank you to everyone who's been playing the quiz over the last year. Can't believe we've made it this far. And if you're looking to hire Big Nerd Pub Quiz for private events, by all means get in touch with me, bignerdpubquiz@gmail.com. Like I said, you can fully customize the quiz any way you want. Any questions, any graphics, any round ideas you want, by all means, fire them over to myself. Like I said, been doing them for quite a while now. I've shout out to Tiny Life Charity and UCL, University College London, who hired me over Christmas to entertain the students that were locked down there. It was great fun doing it for those guys. And you can play all the quizzes that we have on the site if you go to youtube.com/bignerdpubquiz. All the specialty quizzes are there that we've been doing over the year. All the answer sheets are still accessible. You can play them with your friends and your family. There's everything for everybody. Everything from Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Star Trek, Star Wars, football, 80s, 90s, noughties, games, Disney, Harry Potter, you name it, we've got it there on the site. So do check that out. Anyway, so yes, really good to see you guys all this bank holiday weekend. Like I said, I got a bit of sun on my face because the weather was so good and I was hanging out outside. But yes, this is Big Nerd Pub Quiz. Let's get playing. Tonight time is now coming up to 4 minutes past 8 in the evening. Hope you're all ready to rock and roll. I want to get through this as fast as I can because West Ham are playing Wolves later on, and I do want to see how they get on. And anyway, here's your first round this evening. As always, first round is a general knowledge one. Let's see how you guys get on with that. So yes, 6 questions, all about general knowledge stuff that's been in the news, stuff that people have been talking about. Let's see how you've been getting on with that tonight. Let's play Big Nerd Pub Quiz, guys. Good luck. And let's get kicked off. So here's your first one. Round 1, question 1. So which awards ceremony is to be held on the 11th of May 2021 at the O2 Arena in London? That's round 1, question 1. formerly known as the Millennium Dome. It's kind of a big white elephant there on the Greenwich Peninsula, but it's since been taken over and turned into a world-class venue, 25,000-seater arena, with a cinema, shopping mall, loads of restaurants. It's actually a pretty cool venue. You can even walk up to the top of it there, as you can see. And I used to live pretty close to it, and I'll tell you what, I've worked plenty of gigs at it back in my roadie days. But round one, question one, which awards ceremony is to be held on the 11th of May 2021 at the O2 Arena in London? That is round one, question one. Shit, on to the next one, round one, question two. I actually think this is so cool, and you'll always get a space question from me, but what's the name of the small helicopter drone which is set to take flight on Mars this month? This is the part of the mission that landed on the planet a couple of weeks ago. And those boffins at NASA have just decided, you know what, let's fire a drone on Mars. It's a little helicopter drone. But given the fact that there's like a 20-minute delay in communications between the red planet and Earth, I just wonder how they're actually going to control it. But that's your second question tonight, round one, question two. What's the name of the small helicopter drone which is set to take flight on Mars this month? Let's move on to question three, round one, question three. So which computer game won the best game winner voted by the Bafta Video Game Awards? So yes, did you know there is a Bafta Video Game Awards? Because they recognize video games as a form of storytelling and art. It's been on the go for the last 10 years now. And they recognize all the really cool games and the cool developments out there, just like the movies and the TV shows. But which computer game won the best game winner, as voted by the Bafta Academy at the Video Game Awards this year? It's round one, question three. All you gamers might have an inkling of which. Just think about which cool games came out in the last year. Next up, round one, question four. Sticking with tech, but which social media company was subject to a massive data breach at the weekend? Apparently 500 million email addresses and phone numbers were leaked. And Facebook are only telling people about it now. Massive, massive data breach. Gosh knows everybody's on this, but yes, round one, question four. Which social media company was subject to a massive data breach at the weekend? I think I might have to just let it slip there. Anyway, round one, question five. Who won this year's Oxford-Cambridge boat race, which was held in Ely? Yes, the traditional Oxford-Cambridge boat race is held on the River Thames in London, but this year, due to COVID, they held it in a much quieter place in Ely. Well, who came out on top? Oxford or Cambridge in this year's 2021 boat race? It's round one, question five. And finally, round one, question six. Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur are playing each other at Wembley Stadium on the 25th of April in the final of which competition? It's round one, question number six. Yes, Manchester City are on course for a quadruple if they manage to win this particular competition along with three others. They will achieve a first not done in the history of English football. Now, it's still all to play for. No, the league's pretty much wrapped up. But round one, question six. Man City and Spurs are playing each other at Wembley Stadium on the 25th of April in the final of which competition? That's round one, question six. And there's your roundup of round one questions. So yes, round one, question one, which awards ceremony is to be held on the 11th of May 2021 at the O2 Arena in London. 2. What's the name of the small helicopter drone which is set to take flight in Mars this month? 3. Which computer game won Best Game Winner voted by Bafta Academy Video Game Awards? 4. Which social media company was subject to a massive data breach at the weekend? 5. Who won this year's Oxford-Cambridge boat race? And 6. Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur playing each other at Wembley Stadium on the 25th in the final of which competition? Yes, pretty relevant that given the fact that they're actually thinking of introducing fans there. So yes, a select group of fans will probably be able to attend this match. So it'd be interesting to see what restrictions would be lifted. But it's interesting to think that we're coming out of lockdown and yes, returning to some semblance of normality here. But anyway, that's 1 down, 7 to go. If you want to get in touch with me at any point, by all means, follow all the different social media channels there. Drop us a message, drop us a line, and I will try to give you a shout out at some point. Yes, don't forget to follow and use the hashtag BigNerdPubQuiz if you want a wee shout out. Anyway, here comes the next round. And like I said, if you've been playing the quiz for the last couple of weeks, you'll notice that I'm actually kind of stuck to a pattern. So yes, round 2 is also going to be a music round. So here it is, your second round this evening. It's a music round. And it's all about covers. Yes, I'm going to list 6 iconic songs by some very famous artists. All I want you to do is tell me whether or not the song is an original or a cover. You'll see in your answer sheet there's only 2 options for this. So yes, tell me whether this song was written by the band or they just did a cover of it. So here's your first one, an iconic track from an iconic band. I thought this would be an easy one to start you off with, but here's round 2, question number 1. The Beatles, Twist and Shout. Is it a Lennon and McCartney original or is it a cover? It's one of the most famous, iconic Beatles songs. It was in the first album, released in the first album in 1962-63 with the Beatles. I think it was the first album, or no, Please Please Me is the first album. Yes, it's on Please Please Me, which is the first Beatles album. Round 2, question 1. Twist and Shout, the Beatles. Is it a cover or is it an original? That's round 2, question number 1. Round 2, question 2. An iconic rock and roll song from the 70s. I Love Rock and Roll, Joan Jett. Did she write the tune? Or was it an homage to another artist? That's round 2, question 2. Cover or original? I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett. Trust me when I tell you this, some of these will surprise you. It's round 2, question 2. Next up, round 2, question 3. Sticking with the 70s and prog rock this time. Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, the famous English progressive rock group. Roger Waters, Dave Gilmour, Nick Mason, and Rick Wright. First concert I ever attended was Roger Waters of Pink Floyd back in 2002. I was only 16, but I think that's a pretty cool concert to say that was your first one. That's round 2, question 3. Wish You Were Here, Pink Floyd. Did they write it? Or was it a cover? Again, some of these will surprise you. So when doing my research, it was pretty interesting. It's not a question, but interestingly enough, I was talking to a friend of mine and it blew her mind that I told her that Willie Nelson actually wrote Crazy, Patsy Cline. She couldn't get her head around it. She was like, what? I was like, yep, it was a cover. Round 2, question 4. An iconic tune by UB40, Red Red Wine. Original or cover? Did they write it? Or is it another artist's work? It's round 2, question 4. Red Red Wine. You know what these are doing to me? These are getting these songs in my head now. Can't play them obviously for copyright reasons, but you know the tune. Round 2, question 4. Red Red Wine by UB40. Cover or original? It's round 2, question 4. Next up, round 2, question 5. Recent hit Adele, Hello. Did she write it? Massive, massive hit back in 2015. Or was it a cover itself of another song? Let's round to question 5. Hello by Adele. Original or cover? And your final brain-scratching music question. Here we go, round to question 6. From 1998, I remember when this came out, I'd only just started school, but Torn by Natalie Imbruglia. Was it an original or was it a cover? It's round to question 6. Ironically, this song is the most popular tune on Australian radio. There's not one day that this song is not played on pop radio stations in Australia. It's one of the most popular tunes. But did Natalie Imbruglia not even just write it, but was she the first to record it? That's the question I'm asking. Is it a cover or is it a Natalie Imbruglia original? That's your final one. Torn there. Go through those quickly once again. Cover or original? Twist and Shout by the Beatles. 2. I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett. 3. Wish You Were Here, Pink Floyd. 4. Red Red Wine, UB40. 5. Hello by Adele. And 6. Torn by Natalie Imbruglia. Yes, one of the many soap stars that made the transition from the small screen to the pop scene. You would have had Jason Donovan, Kylie Minogue, and Holly Valance, that would have made that transition. Aussie pop stars that look great on screen and sing great as well. But it's interesting, she never really did anything after that. I remember that song was so massive, and yeah, very radio friendly, as I said before. Anyways, keep the shout-outs coming. If you want any requests, any ideas for any quiz questions or any quiz rounds that you'd like to hear or see featured on the channel, by all means, get in touch and let me know. Anyway, we're moving on to the next round, and it's one of those interesting ones that I've done. It's a movie round, and you'll probably see on your answer sheets what it's all about. It's movies, and it's Alfred Hitchcock cameos. What am I on about there? So, back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, Alfred Hitchcock was at the peak of his career. I was making some fantastic films, and what he would do, he would actually put himself in his own movies. So it's much like Stan Lee cameos in Marvel films. You would see Alfred Hitchcock himself just kind of pop up in the background, and it's kind of a game, if you're a fan of his work, to kind of sit and watch and figure out which movie or where he pops out in all these particular films. So I've got 6 here for you. 6. It's a picture round. I've got 6 scenes for you to look at and to examine. And all you have to do is figure out which movie corresponds to which cameo. Sounds simple enough? I've given you all 6 of them in the answer sheet. So all you have to do is work out which movie they are. So here they are. Round 3. Those are the films. Now, I'll tell you which movies they are. On your answer sheet, you've got The Man Who Knew Too Much, North by Northwest, The Birds, Strangers on a Train, Psycho, and Rear Window. And you have to figure out which movies those correspond to. Now, I obviously haven't said them in order, but if you can work out the films, if you're a big movie fan, you'll probably find this quite easy. But there he is. He always just kind of pops up in kind of just average scenes, just in the background or walking on a bus or a train, sitting in the background. Number 5 there, you can see him. He's actually just to the left there. Man in the grey suit. Number 4, he's holding a double bass. 6, he's missed the bus. 3, he's got 2 little dogs, just kind of walking out and about. 2, don't know what he's doing there, but he's in someone's house. And number 1, that is the cameo. Now, I think there's been reports, they're not substantiated or not, but they reckon that is him in this particular film. But if you can work it out, correspond the movie to the number, right? So if you think number 1 is The Birds, put it at number 1. If you think number 2 is North by Northwest, put it at number 2. Some clues in there. If you recognize the movies, But yeah, I thought this was a fun round to put together. Like, I did my research on this and picked some of my favorite ones. I've got a box set of Alfred Hitchcock movies. Have to say one of my favorites is a movie called Rope from 1948. Jimmy Stewart's in it, and it's all done in it, much like 1917. It looks as all done like it's done in one take. You could stage it on the theater, you know. Really, really great drama. And it looks as though it's all done in one go in real time. But yes, some iconic cinema moments there from the master of suspense, as they called him, Alfred Hitchcock, originally born in Walthamstow in England. Obviously went on to, was directing movies from the silent era. I think some of the movies are so early that I think they're lost. But yes, started his career in England, moved over to the States in the early 40s, 1941. I think his first American film was Rebecca. Other classics, Vertigo, Marnie. Obviously The Birds, Strangers on a Train, The Man You Knew Too Much. All kind of great movies. Collaborated a lot with Jimmy Stewart. And I had a penchant for blondes. That was another thing. Might actually stick on an old Hitchcock tonight, actually. I've got the DVDs up here. But I'll give you a couple of minutes on those. Your options are The Man Who Knew Too Much, North by Northwest, The Birds, Psycho, Rear Window, and Strangers on a Train. Maybe there's some clues in there about which movie you're looking at. Even if you don't know, have a punt. And kind of process of elimination there, work it out. Time now is 21 minutes past 8. I'll give you up to 2023. And then we move on to the next round. So yes. Big Nerd Pub Quiz. The movie round tonight. Let's see how you get on with that. "20 more seconds, guys. Match the cameo to the movie." If you know anything about cinema, you might get these pretty straight up, but yes. Just checking sure my answers are all correct. Yes, I'm pretty happy with those. There we go, guys. That is the end of the movie round. Hope you all found that was pretty fun. Like I said, it was pretty cool to kind of go back into those movies and look them up. And yes, like I said, definitely be watching an Alfred Hitchcock tonight. I don't know which one. Maybe The Birds. I think, I don't know. Anyway, we're coming up near to the halfway point in the quiz, and like I said, it is Easter bank holiday weekend. And I wanted to keep things topical and relevant, so here we go. Round 4 is a history round, and you'll have a bit of an edge in this if you're from Ireland. But history round today is going to be all about the Easter Rising. Yes, the Easter Rising was, in case you didn't know, was a seminal moment in Irish history, and it was a rebellion which was orchestrated in Dublin in 1916. And yes, although not popularly supported at the time, led on to a sequence of events that led to the creation of Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. There was an Irish Civil War, there was an Irish War of Independence, and yes, although weirdly not popular at the time, did actually spark off a series of events which are still being felt and resonated today in Irish history. But let's see how much you know about it. So here's your first question, all about the Easter Rising. So here we go, round 4, question number 1. On what day of the week did the Easter Rising begin? Yes, the rebellion itself took place during the Easter holidays, but on what day did it actually take place? What day of Easter week did the Easter Rising begin in 1916? You can see there the shell of the GPO in Dublin there, and Nelson's column, which was actually blown up in 1966. And it was now replaced by... was then actually replaced a couple of years later in the 80s with this fountain called Anna Livia, which the Dubliners affectionately nicknamed the Floozy in the Jacuzzi. That's Dublin for you. And then now it's replaced by the Millennium Spire, which everyone's called the Stiffy on the Liffey. Again. Or the Stiletto in the Ghetto. I love that one. But yes, that was Dublin post 1916, the rubble there. So on what day of the week did the Easter Rising begin? Round 4, question 2. There it is. That's modern day Dublin. But what was the original name of the street on which the GPO was located in central Dublin before it was renamed O'Connell Street? Daniel O'Connell was the great emancipator, was an Irish politician who pushed for Catholic emancipation in Great Britain and Ireland. And that's his statue there on the street. The street is now called O'Connell Street. But what was the original name of the street on which the GPO was located in central Dublin before it was renamed O'Connell Street in 1924? That's round 4, question 2. Next up, round 4, question 3. Who read the Proclamation of the Irish Republic outside the GPO on that day? So round 4, question 3. There are several copies, original copies of the printout of the Irish Proclamation. One of them is in Trinity College Library. I've actually seen it. But yes, who read the Proclamation of the Irish Republic outside the GPO on that day that the Rising began? Round 4, question 3. It's symbolically read out every year around this time. Round 4, question 4. How many signatories are listed on the Proclamation of the Irish Republic? And that's in there. Republic of the Heron is signed by leaders of the rebellion, but how many actually signed it? How many signatories are listed on the Proclamation of the Irish Republic? That's round 4, question 4. Next up, round 4, question 5. Which female leader who fought in the 1916 Rising was later to be the first woman elected to the UK Parliament, albeit she did not take her seat? First female MP, I believe it was a woman called Astor. She wasn't elected until like the mid-1920s, I believe. But this Irish woman was actually the first elected to the Houses of Parliament in the UK, albeit she did not take her seat. But which female leader who fought in the 1916 rebellion was later to be the first woman actually elected to the UK Parliament? She did later serve in the Irish Parliament, the Dáil. That's round 4, question 5. And finally, round 4, question 6. Which poet wrote the verse, "Now and in time to be, whenever green is worn, or changed utterly, a terrible beauty is born," in their poem Easter 1916? Famous Irish poet. But who wrote that verse? That's round 4, question 6. Final one, all about the Easter Rising. Round 4, question 6. Final question here, history question tonight. Which poet wrote the verse, "Now and in time to be, wherever green is worn or changed utterly, a terrible beauty is born," in their poem Easter 1916? And there's your Irish history roundup there. So round 4, question 1, on what day of the week did the Easter Rising begin on? 2, what was the original name of the street on which the GPO was located on before it was renamed O'Connell Street? 3, who read the Proclamation of the Irish Republic outside the GPO? 4, how many signatories are listed on the Proclamation of the Irish Republic? 5, which female leader who fought In the 1916 Rising was later to be the first women to be elected to Parliament. And 6, which poet wrote the verse, now in time to be, whenever green is worn or changed utterly, a terrible beauty is born, in their poem Easter 1916. Okay, that is your history roundup, and that brings us very neatly up to the halfway point of tonight's quiz. Big shout out to Michelle, and she wants to say a happy 30th birthday to her sister Nicola, from Michelle, Graham, Dexter and Darcy. Thank you very much for getting in touch, Michelle, and a very happy birthday to yourself, Nicola. Thank you very much for getting in touch. And like I said, if you want to shout out at any point tonight, do get in touch with me via all the different social media channels here this evening. Anyway, we're moving on to round 5, and if you've been playing these quizzes for a wee while, just a couple of quick shout outs. Like I said before, if you want to hire Big Nerd Pub Quiz, by all means, there are the links there. Give us an email, bignerdpubquiz@gmail.com. Quiz is really good if you're still socially distancing, if you're looking for office parties done online. By all means, I can customize them any way you want for graphics and everything. It's very affordable and very easy to set up. Do get in touch with me there. Also, don't forget, thank you very much for supporting the quiz. If you want to support work that goes into it, like I said, it's always free. You can get in touch with me via PayPal and Patreon. And there's the links there on the screen. PayPal.me/BigNerdPubQuiz. And Patreon.com/. Thank you so much to everyone who's been playing and supporting the quiz over the last year. Really do appreciate it. Much love to you all. It's been such a great thing to do, and I love doing it. Like I said, so yes, that is BigNerdPubQuiz@gmail.com. And don't forget all the different quizzes you can play. YouTube.com/BigNerdPubQuiz. All there. The entire archive of quizzes. Everything for Star Trek, Star Wars. If you have any ideas of quizzes that you'd like to hear, by all means get in touch. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like I said, hit that YouTube button for all updates. And give us a follow on all those different social media channels. But yes, let's move on to the next round. And as you know, I am a massive baseball nerd, and I know a lot of people out there look at me like you're funny. It's just like, why do you like baseball so much? I just do. I think it's a fantastic sport. And it remains to say that the next round is a sports round, and yes, it is all about baseball, because baseball's opening weekend happened there, and the baseball season has returned to the United States and Canada. And it's always very exciting to watch. I really love watching the highlights, even though that I can't watch them in real time most of the time. But yes, some really, really cool YouTube channels out there. I'm actually thinking of setting up my own softball league here in Warren Point. So if you're in the Warren Point area, get in touch. I will be setting up a summer softball series in the park for all you guys to take part in. I'm really looking forward to it. But anyway, 6 questions all about baseball. Let's see how you get on with these. And apologies if you're not a baseball fan, but here they are. Round 5, question 1. MLB have moved this year's All-Star game out of which state after that same US state passed a controversial voting law? It's round 5, question 1. I'll give you some clues on these because I know they're quite hard, but it was a state that was in play and very controversial in last year's presidential elections. That's all I'm going to say. For round 5, question 1. Major League Baseball have moved this year's All-Star game out of which state after the US passed a very controversial voting law? That's round 5, question number 1. Next up, round 5, question 2. Which team won last year's World Series? So who won the 2020 World Series? It was held in a neutral venue for the first time due to COVID down at Ranger Stadium in Texas. Won by a team for the first time since 1988. Massive franchise. But which team won the pennant, the World Series? It's round 5, question 2. So which team won last year's 2020 World Series? Straight up, round 5, question 3. What fielding position in baseball is located between the second and third base? Again, it's quite an unusual term used. But yes, round 5, question 3. What fielding position in baseball is located between the second and third baseman? It's round 5, question 3. Next up, round 5, question 4. The Cy Young Award is given to a player who's considered to be the most outstanding in which position in Major League Baseball. So yeah, this player is pretty good. Might be a clue in the picture there. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll give you these couple of these because I know these are quite difficult. Round 5, question 4. The Cy Young Award is given to a player who's considered to be the most outstanding in which position in Major League Baseball? The clue is in the photograph there. Big clue. Round 5, question 5. The New York Yankees play in the Eastern Division of which league? American or National? Now, to explain this, the American baseball system is split into 2 actual separate leagues. So some of the big cities actually have 2 teams in it. So LA, Chicago, and New York both have 2 teams in the 2 different leagues. So there's the American and the National. So LA has the Dodgers and the Angels, Chicago's the White Sox and the Cubbies, and New York has the Mets and the Yankees. But the New York Yankees play in the Eastern Division of which league? American or National? So basically what happens is they all play each other in the divisions, and then they all play for the titles of those divisions. There's Eastern, Central, and Pacific, or Western, and then they all play each other, and they all kind of goes all the way to the fall, and they play each other in the World Series, and that determines who's the best team in the world, albeit just America, really, and Canada. And finally, round 5, question 6. Which player's baseball card sold for a record $5.2 million in January of this year? Yes, baseball card collectibles are absolutely huge. And some of them go for ridiculous prices. If you watch Pawn Stars, you'll notice some of the cards come in and some fake ones, and yeah, it's a big market for them. But round 5, question 6, which player's baseball card sold for a record $5.2 million in January of this year? And praise be, that's the end of the sports round. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of the sports round, but I do put it in every week because I do love sports. So MLB moved the All-Star game out of which US state after it passed a controversial voting law? That's round 5, question 1. Round 5, question 2. Which team won last year's World Series? 3. Which fielding position in baseball is located between second and third base? 4. The Cy Young is given to a player who's considered the most outstanding in which position in MLB? 5. The Yankees play in which league, American or National? And 6. Which player's baseball card sold for a record $5.2 million in January of this year? But there you go. That's all the sports questions. Big sigh of relief there for you guys who aren't big sports fans, but you know what? That's what it's all about. Try to please everybody. Anyway, we have 3 more rounds to go. Time now is 20:38. Let's check out the next one. And it's all about religion and Easter. Yes, thought it was prudent to kind of keep it topical, like it is the Easter bank holiday weekend. So yes, 6 questions all about the festival and celebration and the feast day that is Easter. So let's see, were you paying attention in church or in school? Let's see how you do in this one. So yes, round 6, question number 1. So, how many stations of the cross are there in the depiction of the Passion of Jesus Christ? That's round 6, question 1. Now, the Stations of the Cross were scenes, if you go into any church, or any Catholic church, or High Anglican church, you will notice up the sides of the walls depictions, scenic depictions of the Passion of the Christ. And these were back in the day before the Bible was in the vernacular, and it was depictions showing the progression of Christ towards the crucifixion. So that's why they were there. That's why you have them. And Good Friday, it's celebrated. It's not so much celebrated, but it's religious connotations, and they are enacted out in various different cultures of faiths out there. So round 6, question 1. But how many stations of the cross there and the depiction of the Passion of the Christ? I'm looking for modern day Christian. My answer is final. I'm going with what I see in church myself. Anyway, round 6, question 2. So sticking with the Stations of the Cross, what is the 4th scene traditionally depicted? So round 6, question 2. So yes, in the Stations of the Cross, what is the 4th scene traditionally depicted? My mum, very religious woman, I actually tested her on these, and she got most of them right, actually, I have to say, but this one stumped her. She went for another one. I think she went for a pretty obvious one, but it wasn't what she thought. But giving you 4 options there. But round 6, question 2. In the Stations of the Cross, what is the 4th scene traditionally depicted? Next up, round 6, question 3. According to the Gospel of Mark, which biblical figure was present at the discovery of the empty tomb of Jesus, along with Salome and Mary, the mother of James? So that's according to the Gospel of Mark. All 4 Gospels do reference the resurrection of God, or of Jesus, but this particular one, this is according to the Gospel of Mark. But which biblical figure was present at the discovery of the empty tomb of Jesus, along with Salome and Mary, the mother of James? That's your 3rd question. That's the very essence of Easter itself. Round 6, question 3. Next up, round 6, question 4. Which major Jewish holiday is linked to Easter, celebrated at the same time? It's round 6, question 4. It's a fairly straightforward one, I think. Which major Jewish holiday is linked to Easter? It's your 4th question, all about religion. Next up, round 6, question 5. According to the Gospel of John, which apostle of Jesus disputed his resurrection until he saw proof? The depiction there is by famous Italian artist Caravaggio. And yes, it's led to an actual phrase which is used, like much of the Bible actually, a lot of kind of like turns of phrases, particularly the King James Version. But according to the Gospel of John, which apostle of Jesus disputed his resurrection until he saw proof? You may have heard a turn of phrase used before itself. And finally, round 6, question 6. Urbe et Orbi is an address given at Easter by which religious figure? It's an annual address. And it's round 6, question 6. So Urbe et Orbi is an address given at Easter by which religious figure? That's your 6th question, all about Easter and religion. And there's your roundup there. So round 6, question 1, how many Stations of the Cross are there in the depiction of the Passion of Christ? 2, in the Stations of the Cross, what is the 4th scene traditionally depicted? 3, according to the Gospel of Mark, which biblical figure was present at the discovery of the empty tomb of Christ, along with Salome and Mary, the mother of James? 4, which major Jewish holiday is linked to Easter? 5, according to the Gospel of John, which apostle of Christ disputed the resurrection until he saw proof? And 6, Urbe et Orbi is an address given at Easter by which religious figure? Give you a couple of seconds of that before we move on to the next round. Time now is coming up to 8:45 here tonight on Easter Monday. Bank holiday is as it is in the UK and Ireland. I wonder wherever. I don't think it's one in America, because I was talking to a friend of mine on the phone there just before I came online. He was saying, no, we don't have that day off. But yes, hopefully everyone's had a lovely, safe bank holiday weekend. I finally got out and climbing some mountains today, and it ended up actually snowing, like I was saying earlier on. So it went from extremely warm on Saturday when we were out in the park to extremely cold, but it's still very, very bright. So yes, just goes to show you how volatile the weather is in Ireland. But anyway, moving on to our penultimate round this bank holiday Monday. Here it is. It's all about technology and the internet. 6 questions all about one of the most important tools in our lives at the moment. So here we go. Questions all about the internet. Let's see how you get on with these in the penultimate round. Round 7, question number 1. So, which British scientist is credited with inventing the World Wide Web? That is round 7, question number 1. Whilst there are many scientists and computer engineers and coders and programmers that have sufficient claim to inventing the internet on different levels, this particular scientist actually invented what we know as WWW, or the World Wide Web. But round 7, question 1, which British scientist is credited with inventing that? That's your first question about technology. Next up, round 7, question 2. .edu is a sponsored top-level domain for what type of institution? I think it's fairly explanatory there when you look at it and break it down. But a top-level domain name is something like .com, .ie, .co.uk, .gov.uk. But just to give you some examples of those, and every country has a code as well. There might be a question coming up about that later as well. But round 7, question 2, .edu is a sponsored top-level domain for what type of institution? Round 7, question 3, which open source web browser was developed and launched by the Mozilla Corporation in 2002? What's a web browser? Well, it's the thing you're probably watching this on now. Or if you're on your phone, you're probably watching it on an app or a TV. But yes, round 7, question 3, which open source web browser was developed and launched by the Mozilla Corporation in 2002. It's one of the first to actually introduce tabbed browsing, which I thought was a game changer. Total game changer. And most web browsers have that feature now. But yeah, back in the day, I remember when that came out, and I was like, yeah, this changes everything. Back when you had IE, and it was like about 100 windows open, doing all sorts. Round 7, question 3. Next up, round 7, question 4. What was the first newspaper in the United Kingdom and Ireland to have a website? Something I just learned about today, and I'm actually quite surprised about this. But so yeah, it was really interesting to read this. Round 7, question 4. Websites, news websites are ubiquitous now. One of the most popular being Daily Mail, weirdly enough. Guess it's all the sidebar of shame there. I know people don't admit to it, but I know you read it. It's round 7, question 4. What was the first newspaper in the United Kingdom and Ireland to actually have a website? Next up, round 7, question 5. Tom Anderson was a co-founder of which social media networking site that was popular in the mid-2000s? Yes, Tom Anderson, you would have seen this guy. If you had this, then you would have had this guy as a friend. That's all I'm going to say. And there was a point when it was the most popular thing. It was the bee's knees. It was the kind of the first thing to actually go out there and try the social media thing. There have been other versions of it, but yes, if especially you're into your music, this was a very popular social networking site. But Tom Anderson was a co-founder of which social networking site that was popular in the mid-2000s? I had one, but I wasn't that keen. Anyway, round 7, final one here. Round 7, question 6, back to those domain names there. But .ca is the internet country code top-level domain for which country? Now, these were developed in the late 80s, like I said before. And there's loads of different types. One, like I said, Ireland's is .ie. Germany's .de, UK is .co.uk, obviously. That's what I'm talking about. Interestingly, the USSR got one before it collapsed in 1991. So yes, there is a Soviet Union domain name out there which you can get. But round 7, question 6, .ca is the internet country code top-level domain for which country? And there's your roundup there of questions all about technology. So which British scientist is credited with inventing the World Wide Web? 2, which .edu is the sponsored top-level domain for what type of institution? 3, which open source web browser was developed and launched by the Mozilla Corporation in 2002? 4. What was the first newspaper in the United Kingdom and Ireland to have a website? 5. Tom Anderson was the co-founder of which social networking site that was popular in the mid-2000s? And finally, .ca is the internet country code top-level domain for which country? Give me a couple of seconds on that before we move on to the final round tonight. And that, coming up to the very, very last round of the evening. It's a picture round. And very, very easy one, I think. Kind of sticking with the sports thing. And we're looking at logos. And here it is. We're looking at sportswear logos. Yes, we all own some sportswear of some form of shape. You know, be it football jerseys, be it like tracksuits and runners and sneakers, etc., and hoodies. But I'm going to show you 6 very well known or maybe not so well known sportswear logos. All you have to do is figure out which logo they are. So some of these are a little bit more trickier than others, but let's see how you do. Don't forget, at the very end of tonight's quiz, once you hit submit, you will get your scores, but do stick about to see how you got on and the answers straight after. So here we go. Round 8, question number 1, sportswear. Let's see how you get on with this one. I think this is a fairly iconic one. What sport company or sportswear company is that associated with, or what's the name of that company? You can see a lot of these are actually coming back into fashion. You know, a load of these people playing them. But there you go. Name that sportswear brand. I have a couple of things from this particular band myself. I think it's a nice easy one to start you off with. Round 8, question 1. Name that sportswear brand there. I think they look really cool, by the way. I'm very into their stuff, particularly their retro 70s stuff. Next up, round 8, question 2. It's pretty clear which sport that is. Yep, 10-pin bowling. I'm only kidding. But yes, round 8, question 2. Not so much a sports brand, but a kind of sports sub-brand. But what iconic sports brand logo is that? It's round 8, question 2. Next up, halfway through round 8, question 3. Now, these guys are a sportswear brand, but probably more associated with sunglasses. That's your clue for that one. Round 8, question 3. Round 8, question 3. Which sportswear manufacturer is that? Like I said before, primarily associated with sunglasses. Sports eyewear. Next up, round 8, question 4. You may have had a bit of a clue on this one. You may have had this on a school bag. I know I did. I definitely have one of these as a kid growing up. I've actually deleted the actual logo, the actual name of the logo itself, because that would totally give it away. But round 8, question 4. Name that sportswear brand there. Next up, a very upmarket kind of outdoors brand. I've got one of their coats. It was quite expensive, I have to say, when I got it. Totally worth it, though. It's the warmest thing I own. Don't wear it unless it's like under 5 degrees, because it's that warm. There's no point in wearing it when it's above those, but it's like a proper coat. You know, this is something you'd wear in Canada or going skiing or whatever. Round 8, question 5. Name that sportswear brand. We're near the end, guys. Here comes your final one. Don't forget, when you hit submit, you'll get your scores, but stick about for the answers. Here it is. Final one. What sportswear brand is that? Kind of big on the retro scene now. It's round 8, question 6. Let's have a quick recap. Starting round 8, question 1. Question 2. Question 3. Question number 4. Question 5. And finally, question 6. So that's it for tonight's Big Nerd Pub Quiz. How have you got on? I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. Time now is 5 minutes to 9 exactly. I will give you 2 minutes to submit all your answers. After that, I'm cutting it off. I'm going to take a quick break and then we'll be back with all the answers for tonight's quiz. You'll see where you went right and where you went wrong. And yeah, we'll just see who has come up in the top 5 for tonight's quiz. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. All right, guys, got the scores there. Great to see. It was very, very, very competitive, I have to admit. Great to see so many people taking part tonight in the quiz, and big shout out to you all. Really, really do appreciate you guys tuning in. So like I said, don't forget to like and share it with all your friends. But here are tonight's answers, and I'll be revealing, like I said, it was very, very tight, I have to say, at the very top there. And the winners have done very well, I have to say, given tonight's quiz. I thought it was a pretty tough one myself when I put it together. But anyway, here are tonight's answers for the Bank Holiday Big Nerd Pub Quiz. So here we go. The awards ceremony that's going to be held on the 11th of May is, of course, the Brit Awards. The name of the small helicopter which is going to be taking off on Mars is Ingenuity. The game that won Best Game was Hades. Facebook was the company that had the massive social media breach there at the weekend. Cambridge won the boat race, and the Carabao Cup, or the League Cup, is what's being played at Wembley on the 25th of April, hopefully in front of some fans. Next up, the music ones. So here, put them up here. So Twist and Shout by the Beatles was actually a cover. I Love Rock and Roll, also a cover, not by Joan Jett. Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd was an original. Red Red Wine by UB40, again a cover. Hello by Adele was an original. And Torn by Natalie Imbruglia was actually a cover. It wasn't an original song by her. Next up are those cameos. So you had Psycho, Rear Window, The Byrds, Strangers on a Train, The Man Who Knew Too Much, and North by Northwest. Just to show you those again, just in case you wanted to see. So yes, Psycho there in black and white. Rear Window, you would have got the clue there if you've seen it, because it's looking through a window. The Byrds, you can see Tippi Hedren walking past Alfred Hitchcock there. Also, Strangers on a Train, he's getting on a train with his double bass. So yeah, that could have been a clue. The Man Who Knew Too Much, I think it starts off in Marrakesh. And finally, North by Northwest, an iconic film starring Cary Grant. Easter Monday was the day the Easter Rising began. That's your history questions here. Sackville Street was the former name of O'Connell Street in Dublin before it got changed in 1924. Padraig Pearse read the proclamation outside the GPO on that day. There are 7 signatories on the Irish proclamation. Constance Markievicz was the female leader of Cumann na Ban, and also one of the first women elected to Parliament. And W.B. Yeats wrote The Terrible Beauty that was born in the poem Easter 1916. Sports questions. So yes, the All-Star game was meant to be held at the Braves Stadium in Atlanta in Georgia, but it's been moved. LA Dodgers won the World Series. The shortstop is the position between the second and third base. The pitcher is the Cy Young Award. Yankees play in the American League, not the National League. It's the American League. Mets play in the National. And Mickey Mantle, the most expensive baseball card as of this year, in January 2021. Questions all about religion. There are 14 Stations of the Cross. The fourth scene is Jesus meeting his mother. Third, Mary Magdalene was the third person to discover the empty tomb along with Salome and Mary, mother of James. Passover is linked to Easter. Thomas was the doubter, hence the term Doubting Thomas. And the Pope is the person who gives the Easter address, Urbi et Orbi. Tim Berners-Lee was the scientist credited with inventing the internet. .edu is sponsored top-level domains for educational institutions. So that was pretty obvious there, I think. Mozilla Firefox, they are the guys who promoted the first kind of open source browser. The Irish Times was the first newspaper in the United Kingdom and Ireland to have a website. Again, thought that was really interesting. I think it was Ireland.com for many years until it got IrishTimes.com. But yes, there you go. Tom Anderson, co-founder of MySpace. And .ca is the internet country top level domain for Canada. And finally, those logos. So you had Fila, Air Jordans, Oakley, Head, Columbia, and Admiral. So yes, Fila, Air Jordans, Oakley sunglasses, Head, they do all the tennis gear and the tennis rackets, Columbia sports coats, and Admiral, they did the old football jerseys. Here are the scores tonight. Guys, well done to the Dobbos, who got 46 out of 48. Very well played, guys. With only 2 questions incorrect. Have to say, very well played. Cat's Pajamas and Quisling tied at 41 out of 48. Well done, guys. Fellow baseball fan Red Sox, I have to say, very well done with you. 38 out of 48. And trying our best. Well, you did very well. You came in the top 5 tonight with a score of 38 out of 48. Guys, thank you so much again for playing Big Nerd Pub Quiz. Always appreciate it. Love seeing you guys, and love seeing that there's people out there still playing the quiz after all these many weeks and months. And like I said, gonna keep doing them. I'm gonna actually, like I said, I've said this every week, but I'm definitely actually let you in on a little secret. I've actually started up my own production company, and we're gonna be called Elk Creative Media. We're going to be based out of Warren Point. We're going to specialize in live streaming services, music production, content creation for social media, etc. And it's going to be utilizing all the stuff that I've been learning over the last year doing this. And I'm setting it up. I've even got a new office space with my buddy Ryan McCann, who's going to be my co-founder in that. And hopefully over the next, once I get all that equipment moved in, I'm going to be actually doing the quiz from that new studio. So yeah, really looking forward to it. And hopefully you'll be getting all your support if you want to get involved and see what we're up to. That's Elk Creative Media, and it's going to be really looking forward to the next big step. But like I said, gonna still keep doing the quiz, and you'll notice a bit of a change in location, and hopefully going to be starting doing the quiz on Twitch. So I will set that up. I keep on saying I will, but I will set up a Twitch stream as well to go with all these lovely social media contents here as well. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch coming up in the next month. So yeah, if you're on that, if you know that site and you want to get involved and watch the quiz on there, by all means. Thanks again for playing. See you all again next week, Monday the 12th of April, on Facebook and YouTube for now, and maybe Twitch once I get that up and going. But like I said, as always, thank you so much for playing again, guys. Stay safe and have a fantastic week. See you all again soon. Good night.